My dad always told me that you have to hit a nail more than once to drive it home. And I've been sharing a series of messages with you over the past few weeks that I need to hit again to really drive the message or hammer this message home so that it will truly become a part of us. I've been talking to you about our words, our sound, our voice. And last week, we were actually in a cave, and that cave depicted Jonah being in the belly of the fish. And it was reminding us of the limitations and the difficulty that he was going through, paralleling the times that we're in. And during that difficult time, Jonah made a decision about how he was going to use his voice. And so here is Jonah in the belly of the fish, and he says, I'm going to offer a sacrifice to you. Excuse me, Jonah? But you don't have anything to put on the altar. And this is when Jonah got the revelation of what worship really is. Look at what Jonah made the decision to sacrifice. When he says, I'm going to offer a sacrifice, he says, I'm going to sacrifice with my voice. That's where we ended last week, talking about our voices. But we started this series talking about his voice and understanding how God speaks. When we are born again, we enter into relationship with Jesus Christ. What is relationship without communication? What would our relationship be if I didn't talk to Diane or if Diane didn't talk to me? Or what would our relationship be if she talked and I didn't listen? Or if I talked and she didn't listen? And what I want to affirm to you is that he's always speaking. And see, that's a difficult piece for many of you to get over, because some of you are saying, well, I don't hear God talking to me. I can't hear him. I don't hear anything that I try listening, or I pray and I don't hear. Well, listen, he's always speaking. Like, for example, right now, there are voices all around me. They're coming at me right now, all around me. Can you hear them? Oh, you need some help, right?
Life society, as we've known it, it will be something we can't imagine.
Now, you hear that?
The heat will burn it away. Sunday,
you hear the voice? Where did that come from? It came from the sound waves that are in the air. This is not connected to anything. But this is just a receiver that was able to pick up the sound waves that are already there. And that's the same with you and I. But what we need is the receiver to help us tune in so that we can hear him when he speaks. Well, guess what? If you're a born-again believer and if you have his Spirit is your receiver, because Spirit speaks to Spirit, and the Lord is speaking to you. Once we learn to hear his voice, then we must become his voice. Jesus tells us in John 16:13 that when the Spirit of truth is come, he will speak only what he hears in heaven. Now, Holy Spirit echoes or resonates what God speaks in the heavenlies. And when Holy Spirit speaks to us, we are supposed to resonate or echo what Holy Spirit tells us here in the earth. And these are critical times, and these times need to hear from us. And so, remember, I took you into the lab to help you understand what resonating is about and how we are supposed to echo the voice of the Lord. These are resonance boxes. And what happens is sound from one box resonates to the next box. Now that's what's supposed to happen with us and Holy Spirit. Let me show you how resonance works. When I strike this tuning fork, even though I did not strike this one, you hear the sound? This one not only picks up the sound, it makes the same sound. Now, that's called resonance. That's what we're supposed to have in relationship with Holy Spirit, with each other, and even with ourselves. And we can reach higher levels of achievement and higher levels of success when our words and our sound is in agreement with God and in agreement with each other. But one of our biggest problems is all of the distraction and all of the noise. We're carriers of sound. Arguing is a sound. When two people are simply exchanging ideas, it's a discourse, it's a discussion, it's a conversation. But it's when the exchange of ideas, when the sound becomes tense, it becomes argument. When the sound changes, the atmosphere changes. Murmuring is a sound. As a matter of fact, in the wilderness, the children of Israel, they murmured against God. In 1 Corinthians 10, Paul says to us, he says that we're not supposed to murmur. Now, let me tell you what that word murmur means. It means to make an indistinguishable sound. It's like to mutter. It's like to say something under your breath. In 1 Corinthians 10 and 11, it says that when we murmur, listen to this, that we invite the destroyer into our lives. So, what are you doing with your sound? What are you doing with your words? Because your sound will determine your success. Now, why is all of this so important? Well, in these critical times, it is significant that we have a clear voice speaking to us, that we have voices giving us not just what everyone else is saying and echoing things in the confusion and in the void, but that we have clarity and a clear voice from the Lord. And you and I, as believers, are responsible for using creative words, powerful words that minister grace to people in these unique times. Your sound can bring the Lord, or your sound can bring the destroyer. Now, I want to remind you of a story that we learned in Sunday school. Joshua and the children of Israel, after they crossed the Jordan River, the first encounter that they had was the city of Jericho. And do you remember God's instructions to them to conquer Jericho? He told them to march around Jericho 7 days, one time each day. But on the seventh day, they were supposed to march around 7 times. And at the end of that seventh time, they were supposed to shout, or they were supposed to make a sound. Well, what they all had to learn was the power and the creativity in their sound and the power in the sound of agreement. And when they all made the same sound, you know what happened, don't you? The walls came tumbling down. It's election season. And they say that the words of a president can move financial markets and even start wars. And we're witnessing a president use his words to create chaos, to fan fear, and to disseminate doubt. And he understands what he's doing. He understands the power of his words. And so as born-again believers, we need to understand the power of our words. And the Lord expects us to use our words to make a difference. And so I want you to come with me because I need to take you someplace to help you understand how seriously God takes the way we use our words. The nature of God is creative, and God creates with His Word. Now, when you and I are born again, God gives our words creative power. And that's why we have such grave responsibility with what we do with our words and how we use our words. And if our words are being used for life or death, for creativity, for destruction, for building up or for tearing down. So what are we doing with our words? Well, I brought you here today to emphasize that point and hopefully encourage you to answer that question. As a believer, it's not about checking things off our good person list. It's about being like Jesus, who is the Word, and being ready to give an account for our words.
Mr. Hunt, are you a religious person?
Yes, definitely.
James 1:26 says, if anyone thinks he is religious, but does not control his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion doesn't mean anything. Do you control your tongue?
I think I do. I mean, I don't swear, I don't curse, I don't take the Lord's name in vain.
Now you've told me all of what you don't do, but what do you accomplish with your words?
What do you mean?
Do you build people up, or do you talk about them to tear them down? Do you express much thanksgiving as much as you do complaint and commentary? Do your words heal, or do you use them to hurt people? Do your words calm things down, or do they stir things up?
I do okay.
But are your words idle? Do they work?
What do you mean, do they work?
Matthew 12:36-37 says, we will be judged by our words. That's why you're in this courtroom now. Jesus said, we will have to give account for every idle word that we speak.
Okay, what do you mean by idle?
It means unemployed, not working. Jesus gave your words the ability to produce. Do you give your words the job of producing anything? Are your words creative? Do they bring life?
I told you I do okay. You self-righteous, judgmental Christian. Mr. Hunt, this is not about a Christian being judgmental. This is about you judging yourself. More importantly, it's about you judging yourself about how your words perform What are you doing with your words, and do your words work? Mr. Hunt, answer the question. Do your words work? What are you doing with your words? Mr. Hunt, do your words work? Mr. Hunt, what are you doing with your words? What are you doing with your words? Mr. Hunt, what are you doing with your words? Mr. Hunt, answer the question. Do your words work? What are you doing with your words? Mr. Hunt, do your words work? Mr. Hunt. What am I doing with my words? What am I doing with my words? What am I doing? Before there was the Word. And when the void heard the Word, everything came to be. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Now that Word is with me. The worlds were framed by the Word. My life was tamed by the Word. My faith comes from hearing the Word, because I'm nearing every word that proceeds from His mouth. So what am I doing with my words? I'm married by words. I'm reborn by His word. I bless God with my word. He put a word in my mouth. The world hangs by His word. My world hangs by my word. So what I do with my word says what my world is about. So what am I doing with my words? Listen up. I have something to say. Can't talk to each other any kind of way. Abuse His name like some cliche. Then expect words to work when things go astray. Speak life and death with your word. Speak wrong, make a meal and eat your word. Make the wrong sound with your word, and arguing and murmuring's all that's heard. Can't be hot and cold with your sound, building up and tearing down, running folk in the ground. Then expect Jesus to turn your mess around. So, what are you doing with your words? My sound is my success key, because with my sound I touch and agree with my brother, not the enemy, lest I loose the fear in me. My words are the vibration of my heart, resonating the echo of His heart. And you should be better after I say my part, because my words are spirit, my words create art. That's what I'm doing with my words.